Hello, everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Matt Smith, from beginner South African cross-country skier to Olympic hopeful in 3 years. South Africa's Snowbok dishes on his journey from absolute beginner to World Championships level cross-country skier, and how he hopes to inspire more athletes from non-traditional winter sports nations to chase their dreams on ice and snow in this exclusive interview with Olympics. Matt Smith was born to be an athlete. Growing up in Johannesburg, South Africa, he dreamt of representing the Rainbow Nation on the international stage. Like many young South African boys, he pursued those dreams in cricket and rugby. Classifying himself as a jack of all, master of none, he struggled to find a foothold at the elite level of either sport as a young athlete. He moved from South Africa to Great Britain when he was 8 years old, and then from Great Britain to Norway after he completed his university studies. His priorities changed over time, and sport took a backseat. Instead, he focused his energy on a budding career in the tech industry, establishing a fledgling company from the ground up while living in Norway. His success as an entrepreneur would eventually revive his sporting aspirations, ultimately paving the way for a new dream: representing South Africa in cross-country skiing at the Olympic Winter Games Milano Cortina 2026. I'm just sort of coming in here as a smiley-faced, energetic South African guy who's in his mid-30s, having a child in 3 months' time, just trying to fulfill a dream of representing my country and going to the Olympics, so I can get the tattoo here, he told Olympics.com, pointing at his chest. With his incredible journey set to reach a real inflection point at the FIS Nordic Ski World Championships 2025 from February 26 to March 9, Olympics.com caught up with the South African athlete already making a name for himself in the skiing community. An endurance athlete at heart, Smith's transition towards cross-country skiing began with the simplest of endurance sports: running. Running has always been a red thread throughout my life, he explained. My mother is a big runner. She does marathons for breakfast in her 60s. Finding more time for physical activity once his first business was off the ground, Smith began running recreationally. His daily runs became an escape from the business world, eventually blossoming into a competitive hobby. He entered his first marathon at 27 years old, clocking a time of just over 3 hours at the Oslo Marathon. Annoyed with how close he came to breaking the 3-hour barrier, Smith began training more seriously for endurance sports. With his eyes set on an ambitious goal, he sold his first company in 2020 and moved away from Norway for 2 years. I decided my first challenge, which is the first kind of athletic challenge I really went public about in 2021, was the next full-distance Ironman triathlon in Port Elizabeth, South Africa. He'd have 120 days to prepare for the grueling competition, learning how to cycle and swim competitively, alongside his running workouts. A crazy goal at first, he'd managed to not only finish the race, but enjoy himself in the process. I took it seriously and I had fun with it along the way, he reflected. A year later, fate would bring him back to Norway, where he'd bump shoulders with Mexico's Alan Daniel Corona, a triathlete turned cross-country skier. Smith goes all in on cross-country skiing. Smith's chance meeting with Corona turned into a light bulb moment for the South African triathlete. What if he could exchange his running shoes, bike and swim goggles for a pair of cross-country skis and represent South Africa at the Olympic Games? He immediately began researching the possibility of competing in cross-country skiing, contacting both Snow Sports South Africa and the South African Sports Confederation and Olympic Committee to make inquiries. Pursuing the idea further, he called a couple of professional coaches for guidance. I called him up and I'm like, hey, listen, do you think it's even possible for someone who's never really done cross-country skiing to qualify for the Olympics in 3 years' time? The answer: if you go all in, mate, it's possible. That was all I needed to do it, confirmed Smith, explaining how his sporting background and established endurance helped sway the opinion of the coaches he contacted. Of course, learning how to cross-country ski would be a major endeavor on its own. Smith would need to be competent in both the freestyle and classic techniques to give himself the best chance of qualifying for Milano Cortina 2026. The ups and downs of cross-country skiing. Smith hit the snow the first time in January 2023. Gradually, he learned to ski and began training regularly for competitions. In the first year of this journey, I took it far too seriously, in the sense that there wasn't much balance. He reflected. Splitting his time between training, maintaining personal relationships, and advancing his career in the tech industry, Smith found himself stretched thin. I learned some valuable life lessons there, he admitted. Still, he continued to make inroads when it came to cross-country skiing. His progress wasn't always linear, but it generally trended in a positive direction. What I feel like has been a catalyst in my development technically, mentally, physically, everything has been that I've programmed enjoy, Smith explained. Refusing to repeat the horrors of his first winter on skis, he thought of ways to make the sport fun for himself once more. He planned adventurous outings on light training days and skied alongside friends and training partners more frequently. I've tried to have more fun because that's allowed me to have more of this versatility in my ability, he said, referencing the ability to ski backwards or recover from an odd stumble. While his ultimate goal remains unchanged from when he began cross-country skiing 3 years ago, Smith recognizes the beauty of the journey he's been on. Weirdly, right now, I'm very at peace with it. If I look at what's happened to me during this journey, it's been phenomenal, finding a community on and off the trails. Smith's journey has taken him to incredible destinations. He's raced in Italy, Sweden, and Norway, turning heads wherever he goes. People always ask me, how big is the South African team? I say, I am the team, and that's the reality of it, asserts Smith. On paper, he's a one-man team. As the sole representative of South Africa, he carries the weight of a nation on his shoulders alone. Yet, he's far from lonely or unsupported at any given competition. Alan Daniel Corona and I travel together. We go to races together. I support him, he supports me, explains Smith. Training under the label of Team Endure, the pair and a few additional teammates form a larger multinational team. They pool resources and provide each with moral support in hopes of improving their individual results. Our ambition is to be the first multinational team in FIS in the World Cup, adds Smith, who's found camaraderie with many other skiers from non-traditional backgrounds. In fact, when Smith first began skiing with the goal of qualifying for Milano Cortina 2026, he found material and moral support from an unlikely source, his fellow athletes. Please subscribe the channel, share this with a friend, thank you.